Doomsday Book is a South Korean three-part sci-fi anthology film released in the year 2012. The plot of the film focuses on three different stories with a central theme of human self-destruction in the modern world. The first part of the film is called A Brave New World, and it starts with a family having lunch together and planning their upcoming holiday trip. However, they keep Yoon Sok-woo, an innocent research scientist and the elder son of the family, out of the plan, considering him a soldier of the military who's fighting for the country's health. Yoon Sok-woo expresses resentment toward his family for taking his sister along, but not him on the trip, but they act coldly towards him. His father strictly forbids him from using his liquor and warns him from holding any parties in the house. His mother hands him a long list of chores, which starts with taking out the recycling and so on. Being an obedient son, Yoon Sok-woo does as his mother asked him to do. After they leave for the trip abroad, he gathers all the recycling into a pile and starts taking it out. After taking out a considerable amount of it, he gets tired. However, he finds more recycling in the kitchen and gets exacerbated by it. Just then, he listens to his friend's voicemail on his phone, which tells him that he set a date for him with a beautiful girl. While Yoon Sok-woo is happy to hear it, he mistakenly opens a pot and is disgusted by the smell of the rotten food inside of it. When he checks the list of chores his mother gave him, the second chore was to empty the smelly food pot. Having no other choice, Yoon Sok-woo empties the pot into a garbage bag. After clearing the pot, he disposes of the rubbish lying around the kitchen floor, which includes a rotten apple, and then leaves for his date at night. The garbage bin is taken to the waste disposal system, and the effluent is charged into recycled feed for cows. As the cows eat the recycled feed, the rotten apple enters the food chain when the people eat the toxic cow meat. Coincidentally, Yoon Sok-woo and his date Kim Yo-min end up eating the toxic beef at a restaurant. While having dinner, Kim Yo-min keeps taking photographs of the food and she likes to keep memories of everything, good or bad. One platter after the other, the two of them keep devouring food. While having cow liver, Yoon Sok-woo finds apple peel in one of his bites and is perplexed to see it. After having dinner, the two of them make out and Yoon Sok-woo insists Kim Yo-min come to his house. When she suggests taking things at a slow pace, Yoon Sok-woo assures her that he's not like other guys who dumps girls. Instead, he proposes to her immediately, making her blush. Attracted, he tries to advance once again to her, but she notices a weird black vein surfacing from his jawline. Just then, a young student picks a fight with him by hurling a trash can at his head, making him furious. In his fury, he charges at the boy but is overpowered by another student. After getting beaten up, Yoon Sok-woo starts coughing up the beef that he consumed earlier, and all of a sudden, a wave of energy enters him. He slams the boys viciously, making Kim Yo-min scared. Although Yoon Sok-woo tries to stop her, she snaps a photo of him and flees. Before leaving the place, Yoon Sok-woo spits at the boys and leaves. Soon, the rest of the town residents consume the same toxic beef. Meanwhile, the two students gain their wits and turn into flesh-eating zombies. They snap at another couple making out in the vicinity. On the other hand, Kim Yo-min starts feeling unraveled and throws up. Yoon Sok-woo arrives at a club where he picks a fight with a bunch of boys. Soon enough, the rest of the population become flesh-eating zombies. The news of this unidentified epidemic spreads like wildfire, and all the news channels starts reporting it. Doctors and politicians from all around the world contemplate whether or not this virus is linked to some other virus or is being used as a war weapon. Chaos prevails everywhere as the virus spirals and the government fails to determine the initial route of contamination. Unable to control himself, Yoon Sok-woo destroys the entire flat in which he lives. When his family returns back from the trip, they are shocked to see the messy flat and Yoon Sok-woo turned into a zombie. Starving for the flesh, Yoon Sok-woo attacks his father and mother, draining them of their blood. He then tries to attack his sister, who hides in the washroom. Eventually, the virus spreads in the entire country of South Korea. Soon, Yoon Sok-woo runs into Kim Yo-min, and the two stare into each other's eyes. Kim Yo-min finds another rotten apple on the street and hands it to Yoon Sok-woo, who irresistibly devours it. This part of the film ends with an epilogue stating that, "Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day you eat it, you shall surely die." The second part of the film is called The Heavenly Creature, and it starts with a young repair specialist named Park Do-won arriving at a Buddhist monastery. He meets Bodhisattva Haiju, who tells him that robot assistance allows them to focus on their practices. It turns out that Park Do-won is employed by robotics corporation UR International to check an RU-4 robot named In Myung at the monastery. When Park Do-won asks Haiju about the duties of the defective In Myung, he elaborates that In Myung is a guide robot that provides general information. However, he gets offended when Park Do-won calls the robot defective, revealing that the robot has become Buddhist, shares its own realizations with the believers and other monks, and claims to have achieved enlightenment. Moreover, Haiju elucidates that the monks want Park Do-won to use his professional judgment to know whether In Myung really has achieved enlightenment, or is just a robot with a technical glitch. He then takes Park Do-won to In Myung so he can inspect it. Using these technical skills, Park Do-won checks the system of the robot and concludes that its system is normal. However, In Myung keeps arguably interacting with him, leaving Park Do-won annoyed. When Haiju asks him about In Myung's health, Park Do-won tells him that the robot is fine and functional. However, he makes it clear that he's unqualified to check anything else as he knows nothing about Buddhism. When Haiju questions his capabilities, Park Do-won becomes enraged and clarifies that he's just a repair specialist who fixes wrong robots. He tells Haiju that he cannot tell him whether or not In Myung is Buddha or not. Seeing Park Do-won's rude behavior, one of the female monks takes a stand and tells him that In Myung's is not like every other ordinary robot. She asks him to think out of the box instead of always relying on data like all the experts. Park Do-won gets exacerbated by the pressurizing and asks her what she expects him to do. The girl requests him to check In Myung one more time. Despite the request, Park Do-won refuses to check on the robot and declares it to be defective. He returns to his apartment where someone knocks at his door in the middle of the night. It turns out to be a ditzy girl who requests Park Do-won to give her a biochip that she can insert into her dead pet dog. When Park Do-won asks her to go to the robotics center to retrieve the chip, the girl starts crying, compelling him to help her. He temporarily fixes the robotic dog since he does not have the right chip and hands it to the girl. The girl notices that the dog is showing awkward movements. Seeing her concern, Park Do-won gives her the address of a center that provides the best biochips in the country. Before leaving, the girl asks him if he lives with robots and looks at him mockingly. Park Do-won then sees her throwing away the dog in a trash can. Through a news report, it's revealed that more and more people are choosing robots over marriage, considering them as humanoid mates. This has affected the national birth rates to lower drastically. Soon, Park Do-won gets a call from his research executive Min, who asks him about the update on the monastery's robot. Park Do-won tells her that he's still figuring out what to write in the report. Min asks him to straightforwardly tell her whether or not the robot is useful or does it have to be exterminated. Park Do-won hangs up the phone before telling her that he will file the report soon. Meanwhile, in the monastery, the female monk goes to In Myung for advice. She confesses that ever since she had an encounter with the technician, she's been upset. When In Myung asks her for the reason, she explains that she's learned that all awakened beings in the world are Buddha. According to her, In Myung has attained the highest point among them all but is disturbed by the fact that he is being called defective. She questions the ability of perception of Park Do-won, because of whom In Myung will be exterminated by the company soon. In Myung tells her that the technician did what he had to. At night, In Myung bows down before the Buddha statue and questions him about his identity and where he's supposed to go. The following morning, UR Chairman Kang and his team led by Min arrive at the monastery to exterminate In Myung, considering that he's an old series. As the extermination team steps forward to eliminate In Myung, Haiju asks them not to do it as the robot is still useful to the temple. Min tells him that they have the right and responsibility to replace outdated models. She adds that outdated robots are a catastrophe to the nation and a threat to mankind. The female monk again takes a stand for In Myung, earning Kang's resentment. Kang makes a speech about how creators face the dilemma that they have created a monster. Haiju tells him that every problem has a solution and that this problem can also be resolved wisely. Kang insists that the only solution to In Myung is that he must be dismantled. He clarifies that this is the only way to obliterate the monsters before they take control of mankind. Saying so, he orders In Myung to step forward for a decommission. The robot complies and appears in front of him. Before doing anything, Kang declares that all RU models have been a failure and threat to mankind, which is why they are being destroyed all around the world. Min turns on a projector with a master monk online addressing the monks. He raises a question about why robots are only created for the sole purpose of serving man. He then asks In Myung about his intentions, inquiring him if he has actually come to drive away man from the path of awakening. He then challenges In Myung that if he has really gained enlightenment, he should prove it by withdrawing himself. When In Myung fails to answer the master monk's question, Kang declares him defective. However, before Kang could proceed with the extermination, Park Do-won stops him, requesting to let him run a few more tests on In Myung. This infuriates Kang, and he orders his team to open fire. Park Do-won shields In Myung, asking the extermination team to cease fire. When the team fails to listen to him, he attacks them but is overpowered. Just then, In Myung shows his powers and slams the members of the team across a wall. He then clarifies that he does not have any form of compulsion or worldly desire, guaranteeing that a robot's precedent enlightenment will never be filled with oblivion again. In Myung then falls to his knees, disconnecting all his circuits on its own. Park Do-won checks it and declares it unfunctional, after which all the monks bow down to him. This part of the film ends with Park Do-won taking the dog robot from the trash and inserting his own biochip into it. The third part of the film is called Happy Birthday, and it starts with a young girl named Young Park Min-seo, secretly ordering another 8-ball from a sketchy website so her father and uncle Hwan won't find out that she's damaged it. Before her father enters her room, she throws the original ball out of the window. As the ball rolls down the street, it ends up dropping down a hole in the street. 2 years later, a news broadcast reveals that South Korea is threatened by an asteroid attack. Meanwhile, Min-seo's family takes refuge in their underground shelter to take cover from the upcoming catastrophe. They stock up on food and everyday essentials for survival. Min-seo sees an advertisement on TV about the shelter pod that's safe in case the asteroid collides. On the other hand, her mother finds her husband playing the pool amidst the rising tensions in the country, so she berates him for being insensitive. All of a sudden, Min-seo starts screaming after she finds out through a news report that the asteroid looks exactly like a giant version of the 8-ball. She rushes to the computer to cancel the order, but to no avail. Seeing her concern, her parents ask her about the matter, and she reveals that the asteroid in the form of an 8-ball is the same ball that she ordered from a website earlier. Her parents think that Min-seo is not in the right state of mind since they forgot her birthday, and so they refuse to believe her. Hwan does some research and finds out that Min-seo is not bluffing. Fearful that the world might end in a few hours, he tells the family about it, linking the 8-ball meteor to the UFO that he saw a few years ago in the sky. Soon enough, Min-seo's father realizes that they should cancel the order, so Min-seo and Hwan spend the night trying to cancel it through a website. However, they fail to do so, and an 8-ball meteor drops on the Earth. 10 years later, the underground shelter collapses. Min-seo, who has now grown up, comes out of the shelter with her family, facing sunlight after ages. This movie has a rating of 5.8 on IMDb. I hope you all liked this video. If yes, then make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.